Yes, this year, Kurt Taylor's company did get a truck, hashtag it the beer census, and drive it cross country to pick up craft beers from here to Portland. Yes, his company at one point was testing 500 bottles of wine and beer a day, which I gotta think made him the most popular dinner party guest in this town. But lest you look at Next Glass and think of it as an excuse for him and his buddies to have gotten together and amassed more than 200,000 bottles of wine and beer, or as an elaborate scheme to have the best story at his business school reunion, keep a couple things in mind. The launch of the Next Glass app 3 weeks ago was covered by media across the country, from USA Today to Esquire. The North Carolina Technology Association has recognized the company both as an emerging company to watch in North Carolina and also one of the top 10 tech startups. They were invited this year to showcase at the Wall Street Journal Digital Conference in California, an event that was attended by many of the titans of Silicon Valley. They employ chemists who have studied their 200,000 bottles of wine and beer at the molecular level to help people, and I'm not afraid to admit that I'm one of them, that have at times chosen their bottle of wine based on what the label looks like. So as they develop their app to create personalized, science-based picks for your libations, keep in mind that this is not just a fly-by-the-night type of idea, but something that's been cultivated over the past couple years. And they're a company that is getting recognition not just locally and in the region, but also nationwide. For many of the people in our area who would like to see the startup community grow and as well as attract more knowledge-based workers, they're keeping a very close eye on this fledgling company to see what happens next. So coming up to speak about taking concepts to reality, Next Glass CEO Kurt Taylor.
Thanks. All right, well, thank you all so much for being here today. These events are a great place for Wilmington to get together, the business community here, and to be a part of it is really exciting, and I can't thank you all enough for taking your Wednesday morning to be here. When Rob approached me to come talk about Next Glass and how we went from a napkin idea to launch, I was really excited because this is something that I'm incredibly passionate about, something that we've invested the last 2.5 years into. And to have the opportunity to kind of look back and see the journey and everything that we've been able to do over the last 2.5 years is exciting. And to be able to share that with you is something that I really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you guys. For you guys that haven't seen Next Glass, we are a research and technology company in the food and beverage space, focusing right now on wine and beer. We looked at the problem where people were overwhelmed at grocery stores, restaurants, wine merchants. There are hundreds, thousands of options at a lot of these places. People walk in and they're really overwhelmed. They have no idea what to buy. Some people buy by label, price, there are lots of different ways. And we wanted to allow people to buy by taste. We wanted to make wine and beer more accessible to consumers. And so we've developed the software and we've developed these mobile applications. Let's see if we can play it. You can see here, what we allow people to do is to walk into any store, pick up a bottle, scan it, and know whether or not they're going to enjoy it before they even try it. There are a lot of other features. We can let you know what your friends think of something. We can show the calorie information, carbs. We can find cheaper proxies for that favorite $200 bottle of wine that you don't want to buy regularly. There are lots of different things that we can do. And so at the foundation of this is a platform that we've developed that combines software and science. We have a laboratory, as Vicki was saying, that's tested tens of thousands of bottles of wine and beer, and we look at it at the molecular level. You tell us a couple of things that you like, a couple that you don't, and we look for patterns in the chemistry to figure out what you're going to enjoy. And because of that, we're able to give incredibly accurate recommendations. And so as we go through and talk about coming up with an idea and figuring out if this is something that you want to pursue, and then how you get to really launch and then an exit, keep in mind that there are lots of different types of businesses out there. I think a lot of the stuff that I talk about today does translate across all of these different types, but not necessarily everything. And we're going to be looking through this in the lens of Next Glass, since that's our experience. And so the number one thing that when people come and talk to me about entrepreneurship in the community, and it's usually around, I've got this great idea. What do you think? Should I run with it? And I usually tell them about Next Glass. We had a bad bottle of wine, kind of started the whole process off, and we wanted to solve the problem. And that was something we were really passionate about. And so the first thing I always want to know is this idea something that you just came up with on a whim, or do you really have a passion for it? Because if you want to be successful in building a company and having a startup, you have to be willing to give it 110%. You have to be willing to give it all your time, all your energy, and probably all your savings to pull it off. It's a bit insane. And if you're not passionate, you're probably not going to be successful. So you have to really care about what you're doing. If you can get past that, you can get over that hurdle, which is a big one. The next thing is, you're taking on a significant amount of risk. You have to look at this with the ending in mind. Is the opportunity big enough? Is the idea big enough to make the potential return worth the risk you're taking on today? That's a really big one. And, there are a lot of other things here. We've got a checklist that some of the things we considered. Timing, is it right? Is the technology there for you to develop what you're trying to efficiently? Are the people that you want to get involved able to do it at this point? Are the markets good for raising capital? For us, in a technology company, we really cared about having an investable idea. You have a short window to develop technology. Things change rapidly, and you have to move quickly in order to get your product out there. And if you try to bootstrap something, sometimes it doesn't go quickly enough. And so we wanted to make sure we had an investable idea. And so there are lots of different things that you have to consider before you start a company, but these are some of the ones that we were looking into. So now you've gone over the hurdle, you're passionate, you are willing to give it everything you've got. Should you? We went through, the next step for us was to prove out the concept. We had this idea that we could take scientific data, look through all the chemistry, and we'd be able to provide recommendations. We'd know what consumers liked, and we could provide recommendations based on that. It's a cool concept. Did it work? We had to build a prototype and find out. And now, I'm not a chemist. I'm not a software developer. And that's okay. You don't have to be an expert in every field within your business. But you have to know your strengths, you have to know your weaknesses, and you have to be able to get people involved. You have to get experts involved very early so you don't make a bad decision. And so for us, that meant getting scientists involved, PhDs, to test out and help us build methods for testing wine and beer. That meant we had to get machine learning experts involved to help us build a prototype. And then we put it all together and test it. Did it actually work? And voila, it did. So we were really excited. That was our first big milestone. And so at that point, you're thinking, okay, I've got this awesome idea. Why aren't people throwing money at it? Why can't I start going right now? And really, the thing is, until you get to the point where you can explain how you get from point A, your idea, to point B, an exit, no one's going to give you $1. And honestly, you shouldn't be investing unless you can convince yourself how you're going to get there. And so that's where planning comes into place. And, there are so many good ideas out there. They really are a dime a dozen. Execution is really, really hard. And that's where almost every company fails. And so if you don't plan things out, one, you're not going to be able to get capital. But the other thing is you're not going to have a plan in which you can execute against. One of the really important things is that you constantly measure and you constantly adjust and iterate so that you create a great product. And if you don't have a plan in place, you're not going to be able to do that. And so what that meant for us is we put together a 120-page document. It doesn't have to be that long, doesn't have to be that extensive, but you have to think about all the different parts of your business. So ours included marketing strategies, it included a timeline, budget, what we wanted to develop the software, how we were going to recruit, patents, how we're going to build a lab out, what instruments do we need. You have to think about all the different factors so that when you go and you speak with people, they're interested, they want to get involved in what you're doing. And so now you've got your plan, you've got your passion, and it's time to sell the dream. And so you can bootstrap or you can go through investors. For us, we wanted to move really fast. That was important to us. And so the only way that we could accelerate is by raising capital. And again, as with most things in business, there are a number of ways you can go about this. For us, we were looking at the venture markets, angel, crowdsourcing. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go. But the angel market's what we thought was the best fit for us. And so you can either go after a couple of people to close your round. Say you want $1 million, you can go after 2 people. They put 500 in. Or you can go after a lot of people and they'll put smaller amounts in. the way we went, and as CEO, my responsibility, I believe, is to de-risk the proposition. Make it so that we have the likeliest outcome of success. And so the best way I could see to do that during a capital raise is to get as many really smart people involved into our business. And using this, or having as an investment round, we have lots of people, is a great way to do that. We have 50-some investors involved in NextGlass now, and they're incredibly smart, well-networked people. And they have a great network for us to leverage when we inevitably run into problems. Our plan's going to be wrong. Every plan's wrong. You have to be able to adjust, and having a good network of people is really important. And so here's our team. Our investors are part of our team, but here are the other components. We have a board of directors, partners, advisory board, some influencers, and all of this kind of describes your network. If you can build out a strong network, you're going to have a much better chance of success. But for the purposes of this conversation, I want to talk about our employees and bringing people to Wilmington, because there's been a lot of conversation over the past several months about that. And I look at companies around Wilmington that are doing great things, and they are able to get really, really good people here. You look at Live Oak, Encino, N2, Castle Branch, they're doing awesome stuff, and they're getting great talent. What you have to do in order to bring the good people to town is you have to have a really compelling, good product for them to work on. They want to see their work go out in the environment and have people using it. They want to be around other really smart, driven people. They want to have a great culture. They want to have a reason to come into work and work really hard and have people they like being with. And really, one of the most important things is they want to be compensated fairly. They want to be compensated based on the region or even nationally. They don't want to be pigeonholed into a Wilmington compensation when you're trying to recruit people from outside the area. It doesn't work. So you have to think bigger. And having a good team is worth every penny. I mean, we have an amazing team at NextGlass, and we've run into a bunch of hurdles, but the fact that we have a good team is the reason that we are where we are today. And if you have a good team, you have some money, you have a little bit of time, again, we're moving really fast, you'll build a good product, though. And our guys should be really proud of it, of the product they've got. And so you've got this product, you're ready for launch. How do you market it? How do you get in front of hundreds of thousands, millions of people, which is what we have to do to be successful? And the answer is that you have to constantly measure, you constantly adjust, and you plan. And so we did a beta program where we opened up the floodgates to about 20,000 people, tried a bunch of different marketing channels. Some worked well, some didn't work at all. You kill the ones that don't work. You put more resources into what was working. You get some distribution, and you put it all together in one day, and it works. And we have over 250,000 downloads already through 3 weeks, so we're really excited about that. Whoops. So this is kind of an interesting slide that I've seen before. A lot of people think that getting from point A to point B is a straight line. It's not at all. When you're in market especially, there are going to be so many opportunities and distractions in front of you. Deciphering which ones that you want to pursue is an incredible challenge. Staying focused is important. For us, I mean, regardless, it's going to look like that. But if you have a good team, you're going to constantly be moving the ball forward. And as you weed through the opportunities and distractions, you always have to think about what is our core business? Does this opportunity help our core business? And does it help us hit our goal? Our goal, knowing that we're going to go out and raise more money, is to increase valuation. So does this increase valuation, and does it fit within our core business? If it doesn't, we're not interested in it. You have to stay focused if you want to succeed. And so this is what success looks like to us. We're going to continue to grow, continue to get more users, get more partners engaged, build out our IP portfolio, and if we can do that, exit opportunities present themselves, and you get a return for your investors. And so that's kind of how we've positioned ourselves, how we've built the company, and where we're going. So thank you all for your time. Hope that was a little bit entertaining, a little bit of good information. But then thank you for being here.